May 5th, 2015, Davie County Board of Education regular scheduled meeting. At this time, we will reconvene and have the invocation. If you would, all please bow with me. As we gather this evening, I express thanks for this day and all of its blessings. I ask this board to be mindful of the business we are about to undertake. We're thankful for everyone in attendance tonight. Further, we are thankful for the opportunity to govern and the freedoms we enjoy. We pause to remember the students, faculty members, and families in our system and community who are facing challenges. Our positive thoughts are with them. As always, we seek wisdom to make the best decisions for the students and citizens of Davie County. Amen. At this time, we're moving on to the pledge, and I will ask Boy Scout Troop 575 from First Baptist Church to come up and lead us in the pledge.
Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. And now we're moving on to approval of the minutes. We have minutes from our regular meeting of April the 14th and our special called work session from April the 23rd. Do we have a motion? We have a motion by Ms. Owens. Do we have a second? We have a second by Ms. Horn. All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. At this time, we're moving on to important dates, and I will point out a few dates here. Okay, on May the 9th, I think that's this Saturday, from 1 to 5, we're having Ashley for the Arts at Davie High. Please come out and celebrate the arts in Davie County schools. May the 12th, on Tuesday morning there at 9, we'll have DARE graduation at Pine Brook Elementary. And then we've got the Davie County Teachers Assistant Banquet at Fork Baptist Church at 6. We'll have a called meeting on May the 13th in this room at 8 o'clock. We have, it looks like Saturday the 16th, Kids Fest, sponsored by Smart Start at the Brock and Masonic Picnic Grounds. The 18th, we have a DARE graduation at Moxville Elementary. On the 19th, we have a retirement dinner at Winmock. The 21st at 9 a.m., we have DARE graduation at Coolamy Elementary. And then on the 23rd of this month, that's Saturday at 11 o'clock, we have early college graduation at the Brock Performing Arts Facility. And then we'll have our next regular scheduled meeting will be in this room on June the 2nd at 4 p.m. We're going back to our summer schedule. So that is all of the dates that I have, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Hartness.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Good to see everybody out this afternoon. You are smiling. Sorry we don't have seats enough for everyone. We have a lot of recognitions tonight, and that's a good thing. I have several things that I want to share with the audience and the Board of Education tonight. First, I want to thank everyone who came out this afternoon for our reception between 4 and 5 to honor the lady beside me, Miss Jean Brickey, on her retirement. Jean has served Davie County Schools for 24 years and has served in the superintendent's office for 13 years. Jean, the board, and this superintendent's really going to miss you at the end of this month. She is a tremendous lady, and I know that you have made a tremendous impact on a lot of lives through your service to our school system, and we thank you for that. You've dealt with a lot of difficult matters during your career. You've seen a lot of things happen. You've worked with multiple superintendents, but I want to say thank you for a wonderful 4 years as your superintendent and working beside you every day. This is the lady who keeps me organized and who really knows what's going on in the office. So you're always going to be part of the Davie County Schools family, and if you all could, please join me in congratulating Jean on her service. Jean has tears right now, but I'll tell you that smile is really big every morning she's walking in. She is really smiling these days. And I don't know what I'm going to do without the Carolina-Duke rivalry between these two on the end. But Jean, you can't be replaced, but in the audience tonight is the person who's going to be filling Jean's position later this month. If you could help me join and help me recognize Savannah Raby. Savannah, could you stand up? Savannah. Savannah, we're excited to have you join our team in Davie County Schools. Savannah has most recently been an administrative assistant to the dean at Forsyth Technical Community College. She has a great experience there in working with middle college and early college students, working in human resources, has served as a paralegal. She is a graduate of Davie County High School and a resident of Davie County, where she lives here with her husband and her 18-month-old son. So welcome to our team, Savannah. We look forward to working with you later this month. Board, there's a couple things I want to update you on. I attended the Board of County Commissioners meeting last evening, and they approved their capital improvement plan. I would just remind you that the capital improvement plan in the county included the Davie County High School project. It also includes the HVAC and electrical project at this building next to us. It includes a much-needed Viper radio system for public safety and renovations at the courthouse. Those are some of the initial projects that are part of that improvement plan. And I just want to publicly say thank you to the commissioners and the county manager and the finance office for all their hard work on this plan and the sale of the bonds that made our high school possible. The commissioners did discuss last night the bond sale that took place last month on April the 21st. $54.5 million in bonds were sold, and there was a yield of a $7 million premium and a net interest rate of 2.57%. Last fall, the commissioners approved a capital project ordinance, and last night they voted 4-1 to amend that ordinance to include the premium from the sale of bonds toward the high school project. So recapping that, $54.5 million in bonds were sold, and the county debt for the high school is $54.5 million plus interest, and will be paid back over 17 years. The closing on that bond sale will be taking place on May the 12th, and at that time, the county will receive the funds from the bond, and we'll be able to meet all of our pre-audit requirements, and that will allow us to enter into a contract with the general contractor. So I have requested, and you announced, that we'll be calling a special called meeting on May the 13th at 8 o'clock in the morning here in this room for the purpose of accepting the lowest responsible bidder and entering into a contract for the construction of the new Davie County High School that'll open in the fall of 2017. I'm pretty excited about that. I will tell you, though, since we opened the bids, I have been concerned, are we alone in what happened with the construction cost? And I've made some calls to some colleagues and friends over the past couple weeks. I actually had an email from Tom Balke that worked with us with the facilities assessment, and Tom sent me an email congratulating each of you for a successful bond referendum and excited about us constructing a new high school. I followed up with Tom and asked him what he was seeing in the construction market that he's working in, mostly in the Charlotte area where he's working, and he shared with me that he is seeing some of the same price structures that we're seeing as far as construction costs. Tom gave me an example that they're working on a private high school in their firm, and they had a number of contractors working with them. It's a much smaller high school, but on bid day, a lot of those contractors did not bid on the project because they had too much work to do. And he's saying we're seeing the same thing, fewer contractors bidding on projects, prices going up since January especially, and he said the projects that they're seeing are anywhere from $170, $175 a square foot up to $200 a square foot. And based on the value engineering process that have almost completed, our high school is going to come in, when you look at the cost of construction and the cost of the site, about $166 a square foot. So I think that's commendable. I also contacted the construction office for Wake County Public Schools because Wake County does a lot of school construction. A few years ago, they passed almost $1 billion bond for, I believe, 16 schools and 6 major renovations. And the construction office shared with me that over the past 2 months, or within a 2-month time frame, they're bidding 4 elementary schools. They've bid 3 of those, and the bids have been open for those, and they're anywhere from 8 to 22% over their estimate. And that's just within the past 6 weeks. Wake County Schools bid a high school in Cary back in January. It was designed for 2,200 students, and it came in $8 million over their estimate. So they're seeing some of the same things that we saw. They're seeing the same trends. They're saying contractors have plenty of work. And since they've bid things over the past year or so, I asked, well, what's the trend that you've seen? And the construction office shared with me that back in the summer, this past summer, their jobs were coming in, the bids were coming in where they estimated. In the fall, they saw a real uptick in the cost of site development and site construction. And then when they bid this high school in January, February timeframe, they really saw the construction of the building, those costs really skyrocketing pretty rapidly. And so they've seen the same spike that we have. So the difference in Wake County is when you have almost $1 billion, what they will do is they'll build as many schools as they can, and when they run out of money, they'll stop building schools. And instead of 16 schools, it may have been 14. And they'll have another bond referendum because they're growing rapidly. But I just feel like when we talk to other folks, we're not alone in this scenario. I provided an article with you attached to my agenda item, and this article was from the John Locke Foundation in 2013, and it talked about the efficiency of construction projects in Forsyth County schools next to us. And I think we're fortunate to have a retired project manager from Forsyth County Schools that's going to be part of our project team helping to oversee this project. This article also talks about and highlights Walkertown High School as a very efficient building, a very efficient high school in value, high value, and it quotes one of our architects as well. So we're real pleased with where we are in working with our architects and with general contractor in the value engineering process. Wesley and Clark are here to present tonight a summary of the things that we have been considering to reduce the cost of the school, and I feel confident that we're going to be building a school within the budget that we have been allotted. I want to thank those of you who joined me at lunch at Coolamy Elementary earlier this month. We've had some other events as well. We had the Character Education Awards night. I see some parents out in this audience that were there as well. It was a very nice event. Appreciate everybody for being there for that. I was wanting to give you an update as well. Over the past 2 years, I've served as the chairman of the Piedmont Triad Education Consortium, and I've really enjoyed that opportunity and leading and working with the 14 other superintendents in our region. I'll be stepping down from that seat this summer, and Mo Green, the superintendent in Guilford County, will be taking over that role. But I'm adding another role. So this week I'm going to be going down to Chapel Hill and joining the board of directors for the High School Athletic Association. So I look forward to that. Athletics are a very strong part of what we engage children in this community, and I think it'll be an opportunity for me to help set policy for the state and make decisions that are in the best interest of Davie County as well. I have to also say that we have a lot of events this time of year, and this past month, I attended an event unlike anything that I've attended in my career. I went to South Davie Middle School for the Shakespeare Festival. And I have never in my career seen middle schoolers enjoying Shakespeare and quoting Shakespeare and acting out like I saw there. They had not only live performances, but video clips that they had performed. And I want to thank Catherine Reeves, who I think is here tonight, is our theater teacher from South Davie Middle. Congratulations to you and all of your students who participated in that. That was an incredible event and just shows the caliber and level of expectations that we have for students. Quite a great job. We have a lot of variety of offerings in our school district. When I see, if you want to see some of those, please come out to the Ashley for the Arts event Saturday, and you will see all types of art programs, everything from art, visual art, chorus, drama, band, theater. All of those things will be in one place, and you can see what our students are exposed to in Davie County schools. Board, I would just say keep an eye on your email box from your association about legislative updates. A lot happening in Raleigh right now. We expect to see a draft budget from the House here in a couple weeks, and hang on for the ride. That's all my update, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Hartness. At this time, we're moving on to the architect's report, and I will call on Clark Pierce and Wesley Curtis to come up and give us an update.
Chairman, Fuller, and Board, we're before you, just kind of give you a quick summary of what we've gone through this past month of basically working on VE items. As you know, we're over budget, and we spend a lot of time, both with your chairman and the superintendent, and with the contractor who's here as well, just going through all sorts of items. We went through every foot of the building, trying to find areas that we could present some VE items to kind of get the costs more within where the budget lies. And as a result of that, and I won't take all the time because certainly there are a lot of items that we identified and that we're looking at that we could present, but I see you've got a big audience and there are a lot of other things that you're trying to cover. So as a result, what I'll try to do is summarize that, I guess, to some extent. And I'll start by saying, as I presented at the last board meeting, our main goal throughout this process has been to try to find areas that we could reduce the cost, but at the same time, not reducing any of your program space. And even in quality to that degree, all of the things that we've looked at as far as VE items, it keeps everything, it meets codes. Structurally, it's still sound. So all of the things we looked at are certainly don't take away from any of those particular aspect of the project. And as a summary, I'll just kind of go through, kind of give you an idea quickly. So we looked at areas throughout the site, throughout the building, and in the building. We looked at various areas of the building required from mechanical, plumbing, and electrical. Every aspect of the building we kind of took a quick look at. And in summary, for example, on the site, we looked at reevaluating the rock contingency. We had a large rock contingency in our original bid, but after having gone through phase 1 grading, I know some of you all have been up to the site and you can see how it's actually progressed. We've got a lot more information about really what is there at the site. And as a result of that information, we're able to reduce the contingency that we think we would need as far as rock is concerned on the site. So we looked at reducing that. We looked at modifying our site sidewalk concrete specifications to some degree. Still have sidewalks, still perform as you would expect it to perform. It's just the specification of that sidewalk is just a little bit different. Modified, reduced the number of parking to some degree. We still have adequate parking, more than what you currently have now at the high school, and also still have room to grow as far as parking is concerned. At the stadium, we looked at reducing the amount of canopy that is at the concession stands and at the toilets building. The facility still operates and still functions fine. It's just that that's a component of that you can always add back in later. We looked at modifying the specifications for the running track. It still meets the high school standards across the state that's required. It's just that we had something a little above that originally in our contract. We reduced that basically to the standard contract. As far as the building is concerned, on the exterior, we had a curved, I don't know if you remember seeing the building, the tower portion of the classroom portion of it had a curved radius roof on it, metal roof, that's changed to a gable or a A-frame shape roof, still a metal roof. We looked at modifying the window structure. On the stair towers, we had curtain wall, and now it's storefront. And it's a little bit in as far as how it will look a little different, but we still have plenty of light coming into the stair towers. And I'm trying to get to some. In the plumbing and mechanical and electrical, basically the changes that we looked at there have to do again with specifications for the various materials. We still have what we need to allow the building to operate in the way that we expect it to operate. It's just that the level of what we were looking at in our specifications is just a little bit lower than what we had originally planned. So in summary, I guess to say without going through this 5-6 page list, again, the idea is we looked, we found areas that we could reduce, but at the same time allow you to still keep your same program required spaces, and still, we didn't cut the square footage at all. I mean, that's still there. And at the same time, it allows you to be able to add these items that we looked at deleting back in at some time down the road for the most part. In summary, that's kind of what it is. Any questions?
Thank you, Wesley. Do we have any questions or comments?
I just want to say thank you to the architects, Mr. Fuller, Mr. Junker, our superintendent, assistant superintendent, and Michael Spielman. They have worked on this anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. It's not something that's just an easy thing to do. They've checked everything. They've checked with the stakeholders, and I deeply appreciate you going that extra mile, all of you, for taking that extra time.
Thank you, Ms. Owens. Thank you, Wesley. Yeah, it has been an intense process, and I feel good about what the results are in maintaining quality and maintaining the intent of the project. I feel really good about where we are. Hate we were over budget, but we have reined that in, and I feel good about the project. At this time, we're moving on to recognitions, and I'm going to call on Noel for a special recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board. We have a special treat tonight. We would like to honor a true servant in our community who has worked tirelessly for the best interest of our children and families. A constant supporter of creativity and innovation, she has spent her career finding solutions for children and families in schools across our county. Tonight we have the special privilege of having Mr. Randy Everhart, Director of Human Resources from Ashley Furniture Industries, and Mr. Bob Rupert, Director of Operations for Ashley Furniture Industries in the Advance, I'm going to have to teach them how to say it, Advance facility. And I would like to ask these gentlemen to join me, please. And if we could have Principal Lynn Mars join us as well. Lynn was not sure why I was so insistent that she come to the board meeting tonight. She actually has a musical going on at her school as we speak, but she will be at her son's graduation at North Carolina State University on Saturday instead of with us at the Art Smart Festival, and we really thought it was important to have this captured on film so we could share it at the festival.
I'd like to read a quote real quick from Todd Wanek. He's our CEO of Ashley Furniture. It is the work of volunteerism for the betterment of society that drives much of our company's philanthropy. We in turn hope that our involvement inspires and promotes additional acts of goodwill. So as a representative of Ashley and Ashley for the Arts, I'd like to present the 2015 Humanitarian Award, which is in recognition of your generous contributions to public education in the local community. Thank you very much, Lynn.
Can I just say that I have to say thank you. I'm very humbled. And I thank you to our chairman, our board, to my administration for allowing me to be me and doing the things that I do that are sometimes crazy, but I do it for the reasons that I think are right, to my community, to my staff that works endless hours and hard, and especially to my family who loves me and is beside me and helps me and my children. It's the reason that I do what I do. So thank you so much.
And again, we hope you all will join us this Saturday at Ashley for the Arts, sponsored by Ashley Furniture Industries.
Mr. Chairman, if I could interject, I want to say thank you. Congratulations first, Lynn. We're extremely proud of you. And Billy, thanks for getting here so we could surprise her tonight. But I want to say thank you to these gentlemen from Ashley Furniture. You've only been in our community a short time, but your commitment to supporting public education, not only through the arts, but the other things that you do, the communications you have with Mr. Wallace from an HR perspective, we're all in this community as a family. And for you to come and present a humanitarian award, to present financial awards to this school system to support our vision and mission, we appreciate the business partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hartness. I would echo those things. We greatly appreciate you guys being here and taking part in our community and becoming a part of the family as you're doing. We appreciate that. We do. And I would like to say to Ms. Mars, congratulations, and you're a very special lady that will be sorely missed at Moxwell Elementary. At this time, we're moving on to Student Services Person of the Year, and I will ask Ms. Beth Weatherman to come up.
Good evening, Chairman Fuller, board members, Dr. Hartness, and members of the community. I'm Beth Weatherman, and I have the pleasure of being the Director of Student Services, which means I get to work with the finest group of professionals that are nurses, social workers, and counselors all over the district. Tonight, I'm going to honor Lori Dingler as our Student Services Professional of the Year. But before I do that, I want to make sure that each of you know that it is, in addition to Teacher Appreciation Week, it's also School Nurse Appreciation Week. And we have 4 of our 7 nurses here tonight. So I want to make sure that they all get a really good recognition along with the teachers for the hard work that they provide to our students. If we could give them a round of applause. Lori has been a school nurse in our school district for 5 years. She works at Cornatzer Elementary School as well as William Ellis Middle School, dividing her time between those 2 schools. In addition to taking care of the thousands of children that we have that come through our schools each day, she's also a vital member of the staff and has gone as far as saving the life of a teacher at William Ellis Middle School. She pitches in every capacity that you can imagine as a staff member, a team member, and displays an excellent work ethic and level of professionalism, and was voted by her peers to be our Student Services Person of the Year. She is married to a gentleman named Lauren. Her name's Lori, his name's Lauren. That might cause some confusion at home. And they have 2 wonderful children, Lindsay and Landon. She's been a nurse for actually 19 years, just 5 of those have been in our school district. And I just am really honored to work with Lori. She's just a fabulous person. She's smiling all the time. Her colleagues and her schools can't say enough about her level of professionalism and commitment to our students, and it's my privilege and honor in front of you tonight to recognize her as our Student Services Person of the Year.
Lori, on behalf of the board, I'd like to present you this certificate honoring your accomplishments. And school nurses are very important, and I noticed it said she shared her time between Canancer and Ellis, and I know several years ago we had a school nurse at every school, and I would hope, I know budget restraints are tough, but I hope in the future we can go back to that. Probably won't be while I'm on this board, but you're vital, and I have a sister-in-law that's a school nurse, so it's, but anyway, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
At this time, we're moving on to the EC-related Services Person of the Year, and I will ask Ms. Jennifer Custer to come up.
First off, Thank you, Chairman Fuller and Dr. Hartness and Board. And if you don't mind, I'm going to recognize our EC Teacher of the Year first. She could not be with us tonight. She's been really sick and missed most of the week last week. But I would share with you an excitement to recognize Christine Vogler. Christine was our EC Teacher of the Year this past year. She began teaching in 2003. She completed her master's in special ed and is a nationally board certified teacher. She's been in Davie County for 11 years. She's taught at Coolamy, North Davie, and she now serves us at Davie High School. Most of her experience has been in the collaborative and pull-out settings. When I asked her peers about her, they shared comments about her being an active and involved co-teacher. She and Ms. Howard have many stories together at the high school that they can share, but they have true outside-of-the-box thinking, pushing those children to their highest level. Christine has a warm and inviting demeanor, which makes her students feel safe and willing to take risk. A special thank you, and help me recognize Ms. Christine Vogler, Davie County Schools EC Teacher of the Year.
On behalf of the board, I wish would you give this to Christine for us. Being the top EC Teacher of the Year is no easy task. The paperwork that they have to do on top of teaching is tremendous. And on behalf of the board, we appreciate the extra mile that she's gone. Thank you.
Okay, now it's my honor for EC-related Personnel of the Year to recognize and celebrate with you Miss Bonnie Schwingle. After graduating from Appalachian, she became a speech therapist in Davie County Schools and has served our students for 17 years. She's worked in every school except Pine Brook. When I asked her peers to share their thoughts with me about her, I continued to hear the words: leader, team player, knowledgeable, strong work ethic, dependable, engaging, and an advocate. She is passionate about her students as well as her paperwork. She's dedicated to her schools and wants to serve in any role that she may be needed. She always adds a positive joy to anything she does, and I can agree with these statements because I had the privilege of teaching with Bonnie for 7 years. She came into my class as a team player, and we pushed our students together. Bonnie is also a fighter and a winner. I wore my pink in honor of her today. She's fighting back strong and bringing a stronger passion and love for our children and continuing to serve and doing great things. So it's my honor to congratulate you for serving the second time as Davie County Schools EC-related Person of the Year.
This is very special because Bonnie and I go way, way, way back. I remember the first time we met, it was like, am I going to get a job or not? And I'm so glad she chose us because she is outstanding. And there's one thing that was left out was compassion. I've watched her with children who were struggling, and she would never, ever give up. And some of the little things that she would do were so cute, and the kids would start laughing, and then they would just do what she asked them to do naturally. She is a natural. We bless you and thank you for being the speech-related service person of the year, but more than that, you're fantastic. Thank you, baby.
At this time, I'll ask Mr. Doyle Nicholson to come up and present to us the Girl Scout 2015 Gold Award recipient.
Chairman Fuller, board members, Dr. Hartness, it is my pleasure to recognize Catherine McGurn as a recipient of the 2015 Girl Scout Gold Award. The Gold Award recognizes outstanding accomplishments in community service, leadership development, career exploration, and growth. To achieve this honor, Catherine completed 85 hours of community service on the platform of reducing sedentary lifestyle among children and teenagers. Catherine partnered with her church, Big Brothers Big Sisters, and her dance studio to participate in 7 events during the past year. Some of the projects she organized and implemented included creating booklets with healthy eating habits and dance exercises that she handed out during festivals and other events, using her love of dance to teach children dance moves and sharing healthy snacks, organizing a dance costume drive for needy students who could not afford to buy new costumes, and creating feel-good bags filled with makeup, lotion, nail polish, and other cosmetic items for children on the Big Brothers Big Sisters waiting list. It is my pleasure to recognize Catherine McGurn for all of her community service efforts. Catherine is one of only 110 girls in 40 counties in the central and western North Carolina to have received this honor in 2015. I would also like to thank Carolyn Brickey, who serves on the board of directors for the Girl Scouts, for being here tonight as we recognize Catherine. Congratulations, Catherine.
Thank you.
Catherine, you've also gone that extra mile, many extra miles, and I don't know how they do it between their schoolwork, their extracurricular activities, and then this on top of it. You are a true role model, and you do represent the students of Davie County. Congratulations on behalf of the board.
At this time, I'll ask Mr. John Marshall to come up and present to us the robotics competition winners.
If the robotics teams could please come to the front. Good evening, and thank you, Chairman Fuller, Dr. Hartness, members of the board, community. It is with great pleasure that I present the elementary and middle school champions for our 5th annual robotics competition that was held April 17th at Davie County High School. This year's theme was centered around our new Davie High. So teams got a chance to compete on a mat that resembles of some of the things that are going to be going on at the new high school. We had 17 coaches who worked with over 90 students, and which created 29 teams for this year's event. This year's elementary winners, with a total of 300 points, was from Moxville Elementary School, and I know Ms. Mars is a proud principal. The Terminators, who was coached by Chris Shepard. The members of that team were Max Junker, Davis Byers, and Josue Solis. Correct? And then our middle school champions this year, with 305 points, was from South Davie Middle School. And South Davie swept all 3 places. But our champions was Team Bolt, who was coached by both Mr. Beatty, Ben Beatty, and Miss Emily Fanning from South Davie. And that was Jake Linville, Nolan Kratz, Chandler Carter, and Keenan Boswell, who is not here with us tonight.
Just on behalf of the board, I would like to say congratulations to one of my favorite events that the school does. I just think it's amazing. If you haven't seen it, you need to come out sometime. And I know in at least one example, it's a great example of, despite, doesn't matter who your dad is, you can still do great things. So, but on behalf of the board, congratulations.
At this time, we're moving on to Battle of the Books winners, and I'll ask Ms. Donna McNeil to come forward.
Good evening, Chairman Fuller, Dr. Hartness, members of the board, and members of the community. Battles of Books has grown to be one of my favorite highlights of the school year. It is truly amazing to watch our students compete against a team from another school, to collaborate with each other, to see some of the wonderful soft skills that they are developing. So tonight, I would like to first recognize the North Davie Middle School team, and Ms. Chris Callahan, if you'll come up and bring your team. North Davie was the winner of our local Battle of the Books competition for our 3 middle schools. North Davie went on to then compete in the regional competition held in Statesville, and represented us very well in that competition as well. So I would like to introduce to you Miss Katie Dyson, Caitlin Fletcher, Tori Jones, Sarah Grace Rogers, Eliza Smith, Sydney Walterman, and Sarah Woodruff Carter, the winners of our middle school Battle of the Books team. Let's give them a big hand.
Guys, I'd just like to congratulate you on behalf of the board. Sorry I couldn't keep up with the names and the certificates, but we're proud of you.
Next, I would like to recognize the winners of our elementary Battle of the Books. Our elementary Battle of the Book teams are scrambled. They come together on the night of the competition, which was April 23rd, and they meet new team members. As you'll find out in just a moment, the winner of our team this year has representatives from 4 different schools on this one team. So again, they meet new friends that night. They have to have confidence in their teammates because they can confer and collaborate on the information, the question that's being asked. So tonight, our winners are from Canatzer Elementary School, Jaden Nyland, excuse me. Miss Emma Dunn from William R. Davie. Chloe Ledford from Pine Brook. Sean Froelich from Shady Grove Elementary. Jaden Torres from Moxville Elementary School. Caitlin Foyle, Moxville Elementary School. And Heidi Dix from Shady Grove Elementary School. So you can see how well-rounded this team is. This year there were 53 contestants. We had to expand the number of teams. Typically we will have 6 teams in our competition. This year we expanded to 8. These students became experts on 12 different titles. I'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate and thank our media coordinators and those in the audience. Please stand and step forward. Mary Ava Johnson from William R. Davie, Julie Markland from Moxville Elementary, Sarah Ryan from Pine Brook. Do I have any others? This event could not be carried out without many, many volunteers. Our National Honor Society from Davie High School provides many of our timers, scorekeepers, and a student judge in each of our rooms. In addition to that, all of our media coordinators across the district work that night to help in making this a very successful event. This year, we also had to recruit several teachers to help us. Chris Shepard from Moxville Elementary served as one of our coaches. Laura Martin from Pine Brook served as a coach. Tina Pickett from Shady Grove helped out that night, volunteering her time as a coach. Debbie Archer, retired media coordinator, came back to help, and Debbie Woodruff Carter was there helping out as well. So we appreciate each and every one of them for making this a very successful 10th annual Battle of the Books. So congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations to all of you as well, but a special thank you to the staff who came out to help make this one such a success.
Last meeting, too.
I have no chance to redeem myself.
No, it's over, Twin.
To come to your house.
I'm gonna take a minute here while folks are moving out, and Dr. Hartness made a comment about Miss Bricky's smile keeps getting bigger as the days get closer, and since Miss Bricky announced that she was retiring, every couple of weeks, if I'm not there, I stop by and I check in, and I make sure she's sure that she wants to retire. I'm just checking, making sure she hasn't changed her mind, and every time I ask, obviously the answer is yes, she's sure, and that smile just keeps getting bigger, and she'll occasionally tell me the days left. But I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for me and for us. It's been a pleasure over the last 7 years working with you, and I wouldn't have attended half the events I have if it wasn't been for you. I wouldn't have been in half the places I was supposed to be. Miss Bricky has certainly kept me straight, I'll say that. But I want to say thank you, and I wish you well, and congratulations. Now we're moving on to the consent agenda, and I will ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda. I have a motion by Ms. Livingood. Do we have a second? I have a second by Ms. Owens. All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. At this time, we're moving on to business items. Our first business item is to take action on the 10-point grading scale for grades 3 through 8. And I will turn this over to Ms. Jenda Haynes.
Actually, she had to go with her son a little bit earlier. We reviewed this with you during the last board meeting. We recommend, along with our staff members, that we have consistency so that as you enter the high school realm, you have already had the experience of having this 10-point grading opportunity all the way through. So we have had quite a bit of encouraging comment from teachers and feel secure about this.
Thank you, Noel. So on the table, we have a recommendation to move all of our our grades 3 through 8 to a 10-point grading scale. Do we have a motion on the floor to do that? We have a motion by Ms. Horn. Do we have a second? We have a second by Mr. Junker. Do we have any discussion? Any comments? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. This time, we're moving on to our second business item is budget draft resolution for fiscal year 15-16. I'll turn it over to Dr. Hartness.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packet, you have the superintendent's budget message. As you're aware, the North Carolina law requires that we give you a budget message and a budget resolution before May 1st of each year. You've had this before you some time now. The budget message is a summary of what we've discussed in our budget work session, so I hope you've had an opportunity to review that. Also in your packet, you have a draft budget resolution, and as we've discussed, this resolution is only good for this time. We have very little information from the state of North Carolina to build this draft resolution on, but it is required that you adopt this resolution. So you have that, as well as a summary of capital outlay items that are proposed in next year's budget. So, Mr. Chairman, if you would, I think it'd be appropriate to entertain a motion to approve the draft budget resolution.
Okay, at this time, I will ask for a motion to approve this 2015-16 draft budget. I have a motion by Ms. Owens. Do we have a second? We have a second by Ms. Livingood. Do we have any discussion, questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. This time, we're moving on to public address to the board, and I will turn it over to Mr. Bullock.
Mr. Chairman, we have one speaker tonight. In order to speak public comment, you were required to register before the meeting. Tonight, our speaker is Mr. James Coles. Mr. Coles, I'd remind you of a couple rules. One, you have 5 minutes to speak on your topic. Please refrain from addressing any personnel issues or student issues, as those are protected by state and federal law, state and federal privacy laws. If you do have concerns of that nature, please speak with Mr. Wallace.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak, Board, Dr. Hartness. I'm just as nervous now in my 6th year attending board meetings as I ever was. But first, a little chronology. First, we were told we needed a new high school for $30 million. This turned out to be a second high school, and it was rejected by the voters. Then we needed a countywide 10-year study, and Little Diversified told us we needed $40 million to renovate all the schools in the district and a new high school, and they quoted $156 per square foot. The Board of Education rejected the $15 million renovation of the current high school, which would have been completed in August last year for the school year that we're in. Then the campaign for one new high school for all Davie kids was begun, and the professional demographic study did not support growth in Davie County. While enumerating the many reasons that there was not going to be much growth, Dr. McKibben also projected some regress. And in fact, there are 299 fewer students in this fourth year of his 10-year study. Now, this new county high school requires the highest tax rates of the 5 contiguous counties. And in Davie being one, in addition to our superintendent's summary last night, the CIP, the capital improvement projects for the county include the $54.5 million for the new high school. Now, of course, if we're spending $61 million, the county taxpayers have to pay the $61 million. I don't know where else it comes from. Recreation Center, $5 million. Davie Little League, $300,000. Central Davie renovation, a school project, $614,000. Viper, $3 million. Renovation of the courthouse for $668,000. New administration building repairs, and let's see, I haven't finished the list. Let's see. So there's a lot going on here. An EMS station for another $600,000. If you consider the fact that we've been taking out of the fund balance from the Davie County Schools, and we're now about $500,000 in arrears on your budget recommendation for this coming year, you need the $945,000 now from the new, of additional money from the property taxpayers in the county, which is a 2-cent increase. Last night, the county manager said that there was no anticipated increase in taxation from the 10.8 added to the 66 cents, added to maybe the 1 cent parks and recreation amount. But I'm guessing that to provide for a number of these projects, you're going to need some more money. I'd like to address this issue of what's commonly called value engineering. VE items, value engineering, a euphemism for phrases designed to obscure and maybe explain why everything is going to be a little bit lower. So I'm not sure if changing the concrete specifications for sidewalks is going to do it. But whenever everything is done a little bit lower, it simply means there's a lot more maintenance going to be required in the future. Now, I would hope that this most recent 3-story structure in Davie County for the children will meet the most rigorous qualifications to be earthquake-proof, tornado-proof, fire-resistant. When I heard last month that they might be reducing the quality of the sprinkler system, I was surprised. Now, if you don't have adequate HVAC equipment to air conditioning, and you have to use it 100% of the time, then you're clearly going to have more maintenance problems unless you initially spend for a bigger system. You've all visited Walkertown and Rocky River High School, promising one new high school for all with the best standards. I hope you can maintain that promise, and I'm not sure I trust the cost estimates. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we have no other speakers.
Thank you, Mr. Bullock. Moving on to committee and staff reports. The first report is curriculum, and Ms. Noelle Grady-Smith is going to tell us about the Art Smarts Festival.
We are very happy to continue recognition of Ashley for the Arts. They will be presenting the school system with a check again this year. We had a $10,000 check come in last year, and arts teachers were able to propose grants and were able to purchase equipment that was very needed, and also we established an instrument repair fund with that. So we are really looking forward to having that opportunity again. The other thing that'll be exciting is Mr. Jason Lockington, who actually was our convocation speaker, thank you, Dr. Hartness, a few years ago, is going to join us, and Mr. Cole Bawick, and they're both coming from Arcadia, Wisconsin. Mr. Todd Wanick is going to be at High Point University being presented with an honorary doctorate, so he won't be able to be there, but at least he'll be in North Carolina, and we will have several esteemed members of his company with us. Again, we start at 1 o'clock, and we look forward to having everybody.
Thank you, Noel. I'll tell you what, I'll just hand it over to you here
I'm
for the
on a
next
roll.
two items. We're going to talk about Read to Achieve update and testing pilot.
And I have given you, board members, quite a lengthy synopsis of where we stand now with Read to Achieve. Our children are doing wonderfully. We do have a larger number of students at this point in the year that may be deemed non-proficient. Some of that is because the state has changed the rules of the game a bit for us, and whereas a family with a third grader last year had to make 3.6 on STAR, this year that same family has a third grader and the other one's moved to fourth grade, they have to make 5.1 on STAR. Dr. Hartness has worked very diligently with other members to have a recognition of how this affects our children. But it will have an impact on our camp, and it will probably bring in a few more students, and we are very excited about the return rate of our teachers. We have, except barring two minor surgeries that will keep teachers from being there, and one baby, everybody else is coming back. So I think that's a large tribute to the success that we had last year. We anticipate moving right along through the end of the year. They'll have one more STAR opportunity, STAR reader test. They'll be finishing up with TRP. Those students who make a P, level P on TRC, we tend to mix those two up sometimes. They will be able to move forward as having demonstrated proficiency. The others will take the end of grade test. If they are not proficient at that time, they have the opportunity to take Read to Achieve test. Not proficient on that, they move to the second opportunity and the only grade level that retests on the EOG. At that point, if we are still non-proficient, we invite you, the students, to come to a wonderful camp to have a very clear, focused program that directs the attention toward the child becoming an active and involved learner, and the self-esteem as well as the skill level really rockets during those 4 weeks. So we're very excited about that. We're hoping to include some second graders this year. We've asked our principals to give us some recommendations of a few second graders from each school. And we'll also be looking toward our fourth graders who did not reach proficiency yet during the year. We're going to involve them in a summer book club. So we have lots of big plans for our readers in second, third, and fourth grade. Testing pilot. As is true of many of our efforts in Davie County Schools, we are on an innovative quest to look at the possibility of having testing reduced in the amount and increased in quality of testing. Right now, we have only end-of-grade tests, which we lovingly refer to as postmortem tests. We have no opportunity to see what the grade that the student makes in relation to their performance at that time. It does not inform our teaching. It just gives a solid score at the end of the year. So it is not as helpful as it could be. The proposal that we've brought forward, along with Surrey, Davidson, Mount Airy City school systems in a consortium, that might possibly be joined by other systems in the state is to look very carefully at what we already have in place, which are our benchmark tests. And by using our benchmark tests, we would create a looping system to cover all the standards all year long. That way, teachers would get feedback as the year progresses. We would hit every standard all the way through the year, and our summative score would be a combination of the quality of all the quarters. Now, in order to do this and demonstrate that it is effective, this coming year or for the projected pilot years, our teachers would also be involved in the end of grade tests. Once it's determined that this is a viable alternative, if it's determined, then we would possibly have the quarter tests replace the EOG tests. And we feel strongly that it would be much more informative to instruction and supportive of child learning.
If I could add to that, Mr. Chairman, a lot of this work has stemmed out of the Testing and Assessment Task Force that the State Board of Education put together. And there are 23 school districts across the state that talked about doing something different with assessments, different than the EOGs and EOCs that we do now. Something that would be more informative to instruction, that would not be nearly as lengthy as the end of grade or as high stakes or as high pressure as those tests are, that could still show growth and student learning. We met in this room a few weeks ago with representatives from Surrey, Davidson, and Mount Airy City Schools, and we invited the SAS Institute, some of their psychometricians and experts that measure student growth, to come and talk to us about the benchmark assessments that we already do and how we use those and how those could be measured, used to measure growth, rather than waiting to the end of the year and, you know, how the EOG works. It's very stressful for a lot of students, and it requires a lot of instructional time away from the instructional process. So we're excited about being innovative, and we've looked at a couple different models. I met with some superintendents in Cary on Friday, and there are some other districts across the state that would like to do something very similar to what we're doing. The State Board of Education is discussing this. It has not been approved. We haven't entered into a pilot phase. But if we were to do something like this, it would not require any additional testing or instructional time away than we're already doing. In fact, it would be designed to reduce that amount of testing. So we'll see where this goes from here. I will tell you that the Department of Public Instruction is lots of pushback on this. This is different than what they've been used to, and they feel kind of out of control. And I've always advocated that we need to trust our teachers and allow them to teach instead of being so wrapped up and tied to these state high-stakes tests. So we're trying to move in the right direction, getting some resistance. We'll see where the state board ends up on this matter.
Well, I appreciate you and staff, Noel, leading the way on this. I know you guys put a lot of time into this, and I know that, you know, we as a board hear concerns about EOGs and stressful testing, and it certainly makes sense to try to utilize some of the testing we're already doing to make it more useful and eliminate some of these end of grade testing that are not nearly as useful and helpful. But we appreciate that. At this time, we're moving on to the last item on our committee and staff reports, the driver's education program update, and I'll ask Ms. Donna McNeil to come forward.
Good evening again. I'm here tonight just to give you another brief update on where we are with driver education for the 2015-2016 school year. A House Bill 919, was put on the docket for the House back in April, on April 16th. It was read publicly on April the 20th. And as a result of that reading, it was then handed over to the Committee on Appropriations. It is still in the Committee on Appropriations. It did not make the crossover that occurred last week between bills between the House and the Senate. So it is still in the Committee on Appropriations. There were 2 points in that bill as it was written and read. One would provide for, in the year 2015-16, that money that is available from unclaimed lottery tickets could be used to fund the program for 2015-16. Another part of that bill says that they would establish a new fund that would be a recurring fund that would be from late fees that could be tagged on to residents that are late in paying their registration on their vehicles. So there's two different parts to that bill, but again, it is still in the Appropriations Committee. When the governor's budget came out this week, there were no funds allotted to driver's education. That line was zero. So unless there is something that's going to happen with this bill, and it could be that the House is going to put a line item in their budget since this is in the Appropriations Committee, but then again, we don't know. It's a guessing game at this point. So in Davie County, here's what our plan is, our plan of action at this point. On April 15th, a letter went home to those middle school students who would be in our fall class of ninth graders. A lot of those will turn 15 over the summer. If they turn 15 by June 30th, the current school year, we will try to serve them in the driver's education class. We have one more class that started this week for classroom instruction, and we should be able to get them complete with behind-the-wheel training by June 30th. If their birthday is at the end of the summer, hopefully we'll have some news out of Raleigh to give us an indication of where this is going, and then we can pick up with that education for our drivers. It is critical education. I know my safety on the highway is depending on our driver education teachers being with those students just like yours is. So we all have a concern. It is a big concern for us all. We all have a vested interest here. So I just wanted to keep you updated, let you know what we have decided. We feel like we have funds available to get us to the June 30th date, but after that point, we are uncertain if the state law stays as it is, that thou shalt offer it in your LEA, then of course by fall, more than likely we would have to pass more of those costs on to students and parents. Questions, comments?
Thank you, Ms. McNeil. We certainly don't like to hear that, but it's something that we have to deal with. I'm completely agree about the safety of of our roadways and teaching that driver's ed. At this time, we are just about to adjourn, but I'll ask if there are any board members that have any comments or before we adjourn.
I've waited till now because I didn't want to cry. Okay. I have two quotes. All right. And these quotes remind me of a person who shared with me one time, Barbara, there's going to be a new way to communicate in Davie County. It's called email. And I went, what? She's been training me ever since. And how long has that been? A few years. But there's a couple of things that I think that we need to say, and we need to say it publicly. And there's two quotes that remind me of you. Every day is an opportunity to change things for the better, and that's what you've done. Every day that you've been at work or even at home thinking about things, you are continually thinking, how can we do it better? How can we make things right? And you do that all the time. And I know that when you get your to-do list for David, when you get home, that's going to make things right. I can just see it coming now. And thank you for being a part of that quote. The last quote is, things you do for other people are usually among the best things you do, and that is what you've done. You have done for others, not only in your career, but in your life. And on behalf of all of us, we say thank you and bless you.
You have any other comments?
Sorry. No, short and sweet. You just, I've told her this and some others in the room too, but there's certain people, my mom is one of them, and that's a compliment. There's certain people that just in their presence make you rise up and make you sit up a little straighter, make you want to wear a jacket to meetings.
Maybe even a tie.
I was supposed to wear a tie and I left it at home. But there's just certain people that do that without saying anything and without looking down on you or anything like that. And you just, you're one of those, and you just make people want to sit up straighter. And that's a compliment, because people want to be better around you, and that's a compliment. So you'll be missed.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. We have a motion by Mr. Junker. Do we have a second? We have a second by Ms. Horn. All in favor? Nobody wants it to end. That's right. Motion carries 6-0. We are adjourned.